to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be looking at putting in GSPro. How accurate is it? I've been getting a lot of comments recently in my videos saying that people are struggling with green speeds in GSPro, and they're talking about the speed that they're hitting their putts at is just not quite matching up with what they have in their sim room. So what I thought I'd do today is I thought I would do a test, and this is going to be a two-part test. The first part is going to be me putting in my sim room at ghost holes that I have set up. I do have a stimp meter. So what I've done is I've done the stimp in my sim room. It comes out to just over 9 feet. So 9.25 as a stimp in my room. So we'll call it 9. And caveat this test. Part one, the test that I'm going to do for part one, I am using a stimp meter. It's not a fixed stimp meter. This is a cheap one that you can get on Amazon. And so when you are trying to do the stimp and you're tilting this thing up for the ball to start rolling, once it starts rolling, potentially how you hold this thing can affect the stimp in your room. So just be aware of that. It's not a perfect scientific test, I guess is what I'm trying to say. There might be some human error involved in this test, but I've tried to do it the best I can, and what I found was my room is stimp 9, or just over stimp 9. So what I've done is place ghost holes at 5, 6, 7, and 8 feet in my sim room, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit some putts in GSPro and compare stimp 9 in my sim room to stimp 9 in GSPro. I have got everything set up. I'm at the GSPro practice facility. I do have stimp 9 selected. So yeah, let's just see how we go. And then part two, I'm actually going to hook up the X putt and I'm going to do a head-to-head comparison, a head-to-head test between the stimps and the green speeds in X putt, which is a putting simulator, versus GSPro. What I will say is I personally believe the green speeds in GSPro to be true. And the reason for that is because when you play golf outside at your local course or at your course that you're a member at, the chances are the stimps are going to be anywhere from 8 to about 10. If you play a really fancy high-end course, the greens might get to 11 when they do club championships, but generally you're going to be putting on stimps between 8 to 10. And so when you play these courses in GSPro and we're playing stimp 12, stimp 13, they are lightning fast greens. You've got to be thinking, Augusta National in your head for green speed. So bear that in mind. But I do think there might be something to this. So I'm actually keen to do this test. The first part of the test is going to be interesting, can be open to human error, but I'm keen to see the differences between XPutt and GSPro and just see if there are any massive differences between green speeds. Okay, with that, let's start part one to this test. So I have got everything marked out in my room. I have the location where I'm actually going to putt from marked out. And like I said, I've got those ghost holes at 5, 6, 7, and 8 feet. My actual screen hangs at 9 feet from this location that I'm hitting from. I'm using the Unicore iMini for this test. So yeah, let's see how we go. Okay, that one's gone just shy of 9 feet. So I'm going to say it's about, let's say, 2 inches just shy of 9 feet. All of these holes, the actual start of the hole is at the foot that I'm talking about. So the 5 foot, it actually starts at the start of the hole, and 6, 7, 8, it's the same thing. So that one there, we can say that went 8 foot 10 inches in my sim room. It works out the total length of that putt actually went 12 feet 5 inches in GSPro. So that's quite a big difference. They're both set on stimp 9. Well, my room is stimp 9. GSPro is set on stimp 9, and we've had quite a discrepancy there. Let's hit a couple more putts. Now, unfortunately, just due to my limitation of my room only being 9 feet to the actual screen, that's pretty much all I can test to. So I can't test beyond that. With the X putt, I will be testing beyond that. Okay, let's try and do a 5 foot putt. So this should just get to the start of that first cup. And it's probably, again, about 2 inches shy of that. So we've had 4 foot 10 inches in my room, stimp 9. On GSPro, we've had 6 foot 10 inches as a distance. So it's an extra 2 feet. So yeah, I can kind of see where some people are talking from. That's really interesting. Now, I do want to reiterate, there can be some human error to this, the way I've set this up. you know, the way I've used the stimp meter, there can be some sort of human error, which is why I'm really keen to do the test with the X putt. I'll do 2 more putts. Let's try and do a 6-foot putt. This is actually really good for practicing speed control. Okay, that's gone just over 6 feet. So let's call it, let me get my tape measure. So that's 6 inches past 6 feet. So 6 foot 6 inches. And we've had 9 foot 7 inches on GSPro. So very interesting. They're probably, I mean, it looks like there is something to this. I'll do 1 more putt and then I'm going to set the X putt up. On a side note, this is actually a really good drill to practice speed control in your sim rig. Let's try and get this 8 feet exactly. Go! That's short. I'm going to get the tape measure out again. So that is 6 inches short. So that one was 7 foot 6 inches in my room, and we've had 11 feet 1 inch in GSPro. So really interesting stuff. There is a common theme there. The putts do seem to be going further in GSPro in that world. Okay, I know that's only 4 putts, but I'm happy with that part 1 complete. I've seen a very consistent theme. The ball is traveling further in GSPro. What I'm keen to do now is do part 2 and hook up my X putt and test that head-to-head against the GSPro software. Okay, part number 2 to the test. I'm super excited. I've just set up my X putt in my room. I've got everything set up. I've got GSPro set up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start off on stimp 9 and then I'm going to work myself up to stimp 13. I have done a couple of test putts, so I know it's working, but I'm just going to aim us off to the side so the hole's not going to get in the way. For this test, I'm not going to be focused too much on horizontal launch angle. I will be focusing on it. I'll be trying to get it as straight as I can, but ultimately I'm not going to be, you know, worrying about 0.0 on both devices. Both of them are aligned to the best of my ability. So that's all I'll say on that. Okay, so both are on stimp 9. Let's just hit a putt and let's see how we go. We'll start off with those short putts again. So I'll try and hit this about 6 feet as a feel. Okay. We've had a ball speed of 4.3 on the X putt, a ball speed of 4 on the Unicore Mini. Looking at the distances, we've had 9 foot 10 inches on the X putt versus 9 feet on GSPro. So the ball speed's slightly higher on the X putt, leading to a slightly longer putt in that virtual world, but all of the data is comparable and both of them are highly accurate. So let's do another putt. Yes, I was trying to hit it 6 feet. I hit it 9 feet or 10 feet. It is what it is. Okay, let's do another short one. I will try and hit this a little bit softer this time. Okay, it was definitely softer. So that one there, we had a ball speed of 2.8 on the X putt, 2.9 on the Unicore Mini, giving us a distance of 5 foot 1 inches on the X putt, 5 feet 1 inch on GSPro. One thing I will say about the iMini, it's had its problems with spin axis, it's had its problems with, you know, misreads or no reads, things like that. The putting on the iMini is incredible. That's the one thing that the company has done right. The putting is insanely good. The ball speeds are insanely good. All right, I'm getting excited. Let's hit another 10-foot putt now. So we'll work up, we'll go 10 feet. Okay, it's probably a bit short. It's probably more like 8 feet. We'll see. So we've had a ball speed of 3.5 on the X putt, a distance of 7 feet. We've had a ball speed of 3.4 on the iMini and a distance of 6 feet 7 inches. Let's go again. Let's just start hitting some longer putts. So let's go about a 20-foot feel. Okay, we'll see where that goes. Probably about 30 feet. And what I will say is my feels are all based on stimp 13. This is still stimp 9. I've got to remember that. Right, ball speeds, we had 7.3 on the X putt, 7.2 on the iMini. I mean, it's pretty much identical. It's incredible. Distance, we had 24 feet on the X putt. We've had 23 feet, 8 inches in GSPro. Okay, we'll go for a harder putt again. Okay. Oh, the X putt missed that one. Okay, that was hit quite hard. We'll see where that goes. Now, one thing I didn't check is whether the hole is going to affect the distance on the X putt. In terms of the data though, we had 11.9 miles an hour ball speed on the X putt. We've had 11 miles an hour on the iMini. So that is a bit of a discrepancy. There's, you know, 0.9 miles an hour difference, which will potentially lead to a distance discrepancy as well. We've had almost 60 feet on the X putt. We've had 46 feet and 6 inches on GSPro. So yes, ball speed higher on the X putt, leading to a longer putt in that virtual world. Let's set the hole at 50 feet. Let's do one more of those longer putts, because that was our first point of discrepancy this whole test. Okay. Okay, that one there, we had 9.2 for a ball speed on the X putt, 9.1 on GSPro or from the iMini. So these should be very similar for distance. We had 37.5 feet on the X putt. We had 34 feet, 2 inches on GSPro. So again, we had slightly higher ball speed, 0.1 of a mile of an hour. It's led to a couple of feet in the virtual worlds. So I mean, both of those, you've got to call, like, for Stimp 9, when there was a discrepancy, ball speed was different. So both of those to me are very, very similar. Let's jump up now. Let's change the Stimp. Let's go to Stimp 10 on both devices and we'll hit some putts. Okay, so let's go for just a short 5 to 10 foot putt. So that one there, the X putt had 4 miles an hour ball speed. We had 3.7 from the iMini. Distances, we've had 9.5 feet on the X putt. We've had 8.5 feet on GSPro. So again, higher ball speed leading to longer distance. So we'll go about 20 feet now. Okay, not a bad putt. So that one there, 6.4 miles an hour ball speed on the X putt, 6.2 on the iMini. We've had a distance of 21 feet, 2 inches on the X putt. We've had 20 feet, 5 inches in GSPro. So again, slightly higher ball speed, slightly longer putt. I mean, yeah, it's spot on. It's accurate. Let's do a longer putt. Let's go for about 40 feet now. Okay. Might be short. So that one there, we had 8.8 miles an hour on the X putt, 8.5 miles an hour on the iMini, 37 feet, 10 inches on the X putt. We've had 33 feet, 7 inches on GSPro. So for me, this test, I feel like the green speeds are the same. Like if I was to hit an 8.8 mile an hour putt on my iMini, I feel like I'd be getting around 37 feet as a distance. The biggest thing that I'm seeing right now is that the iMini is differing slightly in ball speed compared to the X putt. And we're talking, they're within a mile an hour. So it's close, but there are some discrepancies in ball speed, and it seems to be the ball speed on the X putt is slightly higher than the iMini's reading. But in terms of distances there, for the ball speed versus the distance you're gonna hit it, they are spot on. Let's hit one more putt on Stimp 10 and then we'll jump up. That one there again, we see the X putt 8.5 miles an hour versus 8.3 on the iMini. Again, we're seeing 0.2 of a mile an hour difference. For distance, 35 feet, 6 inches on the X putt versus 32 feet, 5 inches on GSPro. So again, higher ball speed leading to a slightly longer putt in the X putt world. Okay, let's jump up to Stimp 11 now on both devices. The other thing I hear people saying is I hear people saying that the iMini reads ball speed on these putts too high. I 100% don't agree with that. I think the iMini is extremely accurate at ball speed with putting. I think it's one of the best launch monitors out there for putting. What I do wish is I wish it gave you a bit more data. So I wish we had like vertical launch angle and a few other metrics with putting that the iMini just doesn't do. You get horizontal launch angle and you get ball speed, and that's it. All right, let's try and do a 10-foot putt. Should be pretty close to 10 feet. Okay, so that one there, again, we're seeing that similar trend, 4.4 ball speed from the X putt, 4.1 from the iMini, 12 feet, 3 inches on the X putt versus 11 feet, 1 inch on GSPro. So again, slightly higher ball speed. We're seeing a slightly longer putt in the X putt world, but comparatively, I mean, they're spot on. For ball speed versus distance in each one of the worlds, they're both correct. They're just two different units reading two slightly different ball speeds. But the actual distance in each world, the green speeds, the stimps, seem 100% accurate to me. So far anyway. Okay, let's go 20 feet. Should be pretty close to 20 feet, that one. So for ball speeds, we had 5.9 on the X-Putt, 5.8 on the iMini. For distance in the worlds, we've had 20 feet 2 inches on the X-Putt, 20 feet 1 inch in GSPro. So there we see the ball speeds start to get closer together. So we've only had 0.1 of a mile an hour discrepancy, and the distances as a result are pretty much exactly the same. Okay, let's go 30 feet. A little bit short. So I've had 6.8 as a ball speed on the X-Putt, 6.6 on the iMini. For distance, we've had 26 feet 2 inches on the X-Putt versus 24 feet 7 inches in GSPro, I should say. So about a 1.5 foot discrepancy. Again, ball speeds slightly higher on the X-Putt. Let's do a longer putt. Let's do a 40-foot putt. And see where that one goes. It's probably longer than 40 feet, to be honest. Yeah, I smashed it. Okay, so ball speeds, massive discrepancy there. We've had 10.5 miles an hour on the X-Putt versus 9.7 from the iMini. That has led to a large discrepancy there in distance. So we've had 58 feet 6 inches in X-Putt world, and we've had 44 feet 5 inches in GSPro. So massive discrepancy in ball speed from the two units has led to a big discrepancy in distance. We'll do one more of those putts. They do seem to be, the longer the putt, the ball speeds start to differ a bit more. Okay, that'll be interesting. So we've had 9.8 as a ball speed on the X-Putt, 9.3 from the iMini. Again, discrepancy in ball speed leads to a discrepancy in distance. We've had 51 feet 4 inches on the X-Putt. We've had 41 feet 8 inches in GSPro. So to me, this isn't a question about stimp. I think the stimp is perfect in GSPro as it is in the X-Putt world. What I think the discrepancy is ball speeds from the units. And they seem to be really close up to about, let's call it 30 feet. And then anything over that, we're starting to see a bit of a discrepancy in ball speed from both of these units. I'd love to test these against something like a Quintic, you know, something like a Quintic that is going to give you the data like it's undisputed the best putting simulator or putting analysis equipment out there. I'd love to test it against a Quintic, but the chances of me getting to do that are literally, you know, it's never going to happen. This is the best I got so far, and I do firmly believe the iMini with ball speeds. But the question at hand was the stimps in GSPro. That was what we were testing, is the stimp in GSPro. Is it accurate? Let's do some more testing. We're going to test stimp 12, stimp 13. We're just going to see if the data differs, and then we're going to wrap it up. Stimp 12, both devices, 10-foot putt, as a feel. Okay. X-Putt didn't read it. Okay, we're back. We just had a slight disconnect with the X-Putt, but we are back. So this is stimp 12 on both softwares, and we're just going to hit a 10-foot feel. Okay, so that one there, ball speeds 4 on the X-Putt. We've had 3.7 in from the iMini. Distances, we've had 11 feet 4 inches in X-Putt versus 10 feet 2 inches in GSPro. I mean, again, I keep repeating myself. For the ball speeds versus the different softwares, the distances are correct. We'll go 20 feet as a feel. That one there, ball speeds 5.7 versus 5.6, so this should be very, very close. The X-Putt will probably be a couple of inches longer. We've had 20 feet 9 inches in X-Putt. We've had 20 feet 5 inches in GSPro. I mean, yeah, they're perfect. 30 feet now. That should be pretty close to 30 feet. So I am calibrated on stimp 13, but I'm getting closer to my calibrated stimp, and I can tell because my distances are starting to get closer and closer to the distances I'm trying to hit. So that one there, we had ball speeds of 7 on the X-Putt versus 7.1 on the iMini. That's the first time, I think, that the iMini's registered a slightly higher ball speed. For the actual distances, we had 30 feet 5 inches in X-Putt. We've had 29 feet 5 inches in GSPro. So that one there, we actually had 0.1 of a mile an hour ball speed higher on the X-Putt. The distance actually it's gone in the world is very slightly shorter. So that's interesting. That's the first time we've seen that. But I mean, they're so close that it's not like it's a 5-foot difference. We're talking, you know, they're within a foot. Let's go 40 feet now. That's going to be short. That's got to go. Go hard. That one there, we had 7.4 miles an hour on both units. This should be close. We've had 33 feet 7 inches on the X-Putt versus 31 feet 6 inches in GSPro. So we're actually seeing GSPro slightly shorter than the X-Putt distances. Now, I have done a lot of testing, and what I've found with these softwares is within 20 feet, 30 feet, they're both very accurate. As you start to get longer putts, I personally feel like the X-Putt distances start to increase a bit further. So I've got to do a lot more testing to confirm this, like a lot, but that's just my initial impressions. Let's hit one more actual 40-footer and then we'll go to stimp 13. Okay, that might be a little long now. I made it. It was 50 foot on the X-Putt. So that one there, we had 9.6 as a ball speed on the X-Putt. We've had 9.6 as a ball speed in GSPro. Let's look at the distances. 50 feet, exactly. 49 feet, 11 inches. The ball went in the hole on the X-Putt. We've had 46 feet and 2 inches on GSPro. So slight discrepancy there. So we're seeing the X-Putt world, the stimp 12 is actually a little bit quicker than the stimp 12 in GSPro's world. What I might do is I might just hit some shorter putts because I want to test this. And I do have it set up. Let's hit another 20-foot putt. That's going to be short, but I just want to test this out. So we've had 4.8 as a ball speed in X-Putt. We've had 4.6 as a ball speed from the iMini. Distances, 15 feet 3 inches in the X-Putt world, 14 feet 8 inches in GSPro. Slight discrepancy in ball speed, but potentially the algorithm is giving slightly longer distances in the X-Putt world. And let's do that same distance around 20 feet. That's again probably going to be about 15. So I've had 4.7 as a ball speed from the X-Putt, 4.6 from the iMini. Distances 15 feet exactly on both devices. So look, it looks like they're both good up to a certain distance. I'd have to do a fair amount of testing to figure out what that distance is, but it seems like over that distance, call it 30 feet, it seems like the X-Putt, the ball seems to travel a little bit further in that world than it does in GSPro. A lot more testing needed to confirm this. Let's go to stimp 13 on both devices and let's do some testing. First putt will be 10 feet. Should be pretty close to 10 feet, maybe a tiny bit short. So that one there, we had a ball speed of 3.5 exactly on both devices. We've had 10 feet 4 inches in the X-Putt world, 10 feet 6 inches in the GSPro world. Let's go 20 feet now. Should be pretty close to 20 feet. So that one there, we had a ball speed of 5.8 on the X-Putt, 5.9 from the iMini. Distances, 23 feet 7 inches on the X-Putt, 23 feet 5 inches in GSPro. So look, I mean, they're pretty much identical on stimp 13 so far. Let's go 30 feet now. Might be slightly short. I stand corrected. They are both 6.9 for ball speed, and distances, we had 30 feet exactly in GSPro, 31 feet 7 inches on the X-Putt. So you could argue that the distances in X-Putt are slightly longer, potentially, but not much. But so far, everything looks pretty much spot on stimp 13. Let's do a 40-foot putt. Okay, not a good stroke, but we'll see the distance. It might be short. So that one there, we had 7.4 ball speed exactly on both units. That's incredible. For distance, we had 35 feet 10 inches in X-Putt world versus 33 10 inches in GSPro world. So 2 extra feet on the X-Putt. We'll go for another 40-footer. Okay, that'll be closer to 40. Okay, I absolutely smashed that one, but let's have a look at this because this is interesting. So a longer putt now, ball speeds are different. We've had 10.2 miles an hour ball speed on the X putt versus 9.6 from the iMini. Distances 65 feet 9 inches in X putt versus 49.2 inches in the GSPro world. To me, that putt did not feel like a 65 footer. Let's do another long one because the long ones seem to be just where it falls off. If I look at my chart for 10.2 ball speed, you're looking at about 53 feet in GSPro. So for 10.2 ball speed, it's about 53 feet in the GSPro world. So yeah, maybe there are some slight discrepancies in the actual stimp. It looks like X putt have them going just a little bit further. Okay, that's another hard putt. Okay, that one there, 11.1 miles an hour ball speed from the X putt. We've had 10.2 from the iMini. Distances, we've had 75 feet 10 inches on the X putt versus 53 feet 5 inches in GSPro. To me, GSPro far more accurate in terms of distance at these longer putts. The shorter ones seem fine. The longer ones, it's getting away from the X putt. They're just rolling out way too far. For 11.1 ball speed in GSPro, I'll use my chart. That's going to give you about 61 feet for distance at 13 stimps. So 61 versus 75, 10 inches. That is just way off. For the shorter putts though, the algorithm in the X putt seems to be quite good. Okay, that is the test. And I mean, quite interesting. Very, very interesting. What I will say is this. I think the stimp in GSPro is perfect. I think it's spot on. It is incredibly accurate in terms of distance. The X putt was very comparable up to those, I'm going to say it was about those 40 footers that just seemed to drop off, and the distance in the X putt world just seemed to go too long. But up until that, it seemed to be quite accurate. All right, guys, that is it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Hopefully you got something out of that. To me, wrapping it all up, I trust the iMini for one. I think the iMini is absolutely fantastic for putting, and I do absolutely trust the green speeds in GSPro. I'm sure these companies as well, I'm sure they did very, very in-depth testing. I'm sure they've both done very in-depth testing. This is just, in my environment, a test between the two units or the two softwares. So there is going to be potential for human error to creep in there, or something that I've done comparing these units side by side, whatever you want to call it. There's some chance that there will be human error, but that was my test. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. If you did, definitely like this video, share this video, sub to the channel, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Cheers.